Chloe.
And yes, we do make money on Instagram.
All right, money makers, welcome back to another episode of Yes, I Make Money. Our girl Chloe got engaged. We are so excited. Her beautiful emerald ring. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is so her. So thrilled that we have not one, not two, but 3 right-hand glam brides right now. Insane. I can't wait for what I hope is a cornfield wedding. It's really my dream. Yes, Chloe saying yes. Chloe's Emma, you know me too well. But we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk with the wonderful Dre, a longtime friend of ours here at Right Hand Glam. Dre has had such a fascinating journey over the years, particularly over the past 8 months. And before we get into that, we want her to introduce herself. So Dre, it's all you.
Hi, everybody. I am Dre Fox, part content creator, part social media expert and coach. I live here in the great city of Charlotte, North Carolina, moved here from Austin, Texas, which we'll get into. And I'm really excited to share my journey with you today.
Hell yes. All right. So, Dre, why don't you tell us the pre-Charlotte information? What happened before Charlotte? Tell us about time of Dre, the origin story. Also, let's actually start here. How many Instagram accounts do you have?
I have 4, one being a private personal account.
Who knew? I love when I find out that people have private personal accounts. Really? You have a
I
life
love the
outside of all this?
burner.
No, the burner
I
is
love
so
a burner
good.
account. I love a
So
burner
good.
account.
Okay, so 4 accounts. So we have our personal account, we have Time of Dre, we have My Creator Coach, and we have Daily Dre CLT, correct?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Boom. So proud of myself for that one. Okay, so let's start with Time of Dre because that came first. So what was the purpose of that, the evolution of that, and how did that grow into My Creator Coach?
So I was working in social media professionally at a 9-to-5 job, working for a software company called Lithium Spreadfast. They had multiple different names. Essentially, it was a Hootsuite or a later for global corporations. So people that had 800 Instagram handles and 50 Facebook pages, not 1, 2, or 3. So I loved working with them. I was working with some of the best and coolest companies ever. And they asked me about my social media presence, and I didn't have one. I had my pitiful personal account that I never posted to, and I had nothing else. So I started a food account just for something to mess around with, give it a try, put out some content and see where it went. It went really well because I had this fundamental, deeper knowledge of social media in a way that most people don't have or didn't have. And so it really transformed quite quickly where I was just having fun with food. And then a lot of people were like, hey, can you help me? What are you doing? How is this growing? Why does yours feel more professional than mine? What can I do? So it turned into an education business where I had programs and all the things to support content creators and business owners in their journey. So My Creator Coach is just an extension of that, just like a different, more intentional piece of that puzzle.
And you also work freelance with companies as a social media consultant, right?
Yes, I do. So a lot of what I do behind the scenes is coach and consult like mid-sized businesses. Sometimes I'll run a page or 2, but it has to be a really aligned fit for me to do that. And then of course I have a whole private client roster of creators and business owners that I support on their journey.
And you recently launched a membership too, right?
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. I have a passion for helping people monetize their brands. I love helping people grow it. It's not about the money, but it's about everyone should be able to turn themselves into a business or find ways to profit off of the hard work that they're doing. And not everybody wants to do it with brand deals. Not everybody wants to hawk vitamins to make some cash. Like they have talents and skills that are very marketable. And so my membership is all about helping people find authentic ways to have extensions of their brand that help them make money.
Yes, I make money. Chloe, you're nodding your head. You're like into it.
I have to unmute because I am phlegmy today. Do not ask me why. Blame it on Austin. But no, I'm over here nodding my head because I drank the Dre Kool-Aid many a time personally. And that's truly like what Dre likes to do. It shines through. So no, I'm just like over here, yep, 100%. I know it.
We know Dre intimately. Do what you will with that information. And we have seen all sides of her business, and we've been alongside her for like immense growth. And it's so crazy to see that over the past 2 years, you've transformed as a person, you've transformed your business. There's just so much juicy stuff to get into, which leads us to the Charlotte adventure. So you decided you were moving to Charlotte. You bought a house in Charlotte. I loved when you did that. I will forever remember this, that you posted, social media bought me this house. And I was like, oh, I love this, because that's how I felt about my car and my house. It's, oh yes, social media can get you these things. But you started what was then Daily Dre 1, which is now Daily Dre CLT, before you moved. How the hell did that work when you did not have on the ground Charlotte content?
Yeah, it was smoke and mirror sounds deceitful, so I don't really want to go that direction, but I would say that it was like finding creative ways to show and tell without being there. So I had done an on the ground trip a year prior where I did get some content, not a lot, but I definitely got some. And so it gave me a little bit of a runway to start putting up some content and networking with some people. I also was able to do a lot of research from Austin. It's really easy to find festivals that are coming up and put out a post about festivals that are coming up and things that don't require you to have experienced a lot of it to give an opinion or anything like that. So while I'll admit the growth was slow before I moved, I at least had maybe 100 followers or something before I actually made the move. And then it was game on. I was like creating instantaneously the second that I got here and really rolled out the red carpet.
For some reason, the number 383 is stuck in my head when I think about how many followers you had when you move. That's so fucking creepy that I know that, but it's in my head. 383 is in my head for some reason.
You're probably right. I don't recall, but it wasn't that much, but it was enough that I was excited.
So my question is going forward, because you were known in Austin. Whenever I moved to Austin, I knew that Dre had amazing food pics. And then I started learning, as I started getting into Instagram on the money side, I was like, ooh, Dre's the one that like knows the stuff. So my question, when you built this new page and you were like, I'm doing this, we're going full into it, what did you pull out of what you already knew, what you have already done? And did you do anything different, try anything new? What was that like?
The biggest difference was starting out with the right mindset, because we all know that there are highs and lows, and it's good and it's bad and it's up and it's down. Fighting through all of that for years with Time of Dre, it gets to you. And when you're experiencing things for the first time, your first didn't grow for 6 months period, you're sitting there being like, I want to throw in the towel. I'm over this. But when it comes to Daily Dre, I had all of that background. I have fought all of those mental battles. So I think having clarity of thought, okay, that one bombed. Yeah, whatever, we're moving on. This one did amazing. This one sucks. This one did great. Helps me get just out of perfectionism, because I know that that doesn't work for me. And it's not how I'm actually going to grow. How I'm going to grow is high quality volume and just getting it out there. So that certainly helped. Of course, I have a lot of the fundamentals down pat, how to build a relationship, how to engage with people via stories, all of those things, which I do personally think helped me come out of the gate hot, where people were like, okay, wait a second, this is a good account and it just started. What's happening here? So I think I had an advantage just from the background that I have.
So I want to think of Daily Dre as a startup, because I feel like that's the easiest way to propel this conversation forward. So What was your initial goal when you started this account? Were you planning to monetize? Did you have the goal of being one of the top creators in Charlotte? I feel like that's a leading question, but I would just love to hear your thoughts expanded on that. So we start this account. We know we're moving to Charlotte in 4 months. What's the game plan?
Yeah, so the game plan was to build a community so that I had friends and friendships in Charlotte. So I did not know anyone here at all when I moved. So I know that my page in Austin brought me the best friendships and the greatest people on the planet. So I wanted that again. My intention was not financially based at all, but I knew that there was an opportunity for someone to shake things up and do bigger things or come up with bigger ideas, because I had seen what happens in the Austin market and I saw a lot of holes in the Charlotte market. So I was like, man, I could do some really fun stuff with this, but the motivation was never financially based.
That's fascinating to me because I thought it would be. But
No.
I love that it wasn't. I love that it wasn't. And I remember you talking so much about how hard, like we all talk about how hard it is to make friends as an adult, but it's extra hard when you're moving somewhere that is very far away from your people. So I love that that was the intention behind it. Now I know that you said the growth was slow at first, and I want to talk about some of the strategies that you use that were so good that they have stuck with me. I loved your one strategy about like when people would comment, "Where is this?" And you're like, "Oh my God, you dumbass. Like, here it is." Like, I literally just said it, not repeating it and not saying, "Here's where it is," because it made people go back and look at the content again. I think that was really smart. And I hope that was your intention there. But also the strategy you used about when the content started taking off, adding your handle to the top of the caption.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So the where is this, that is just one of those things where I put my foot down. I'm like, it's in the text, they're tagged, and it's in their bio, and it is also in the bottom of the caption. If you think for a second I'm going to tell you where this place is again, that is just additional labor that I am not participating in. So I'm just like, check the caption. I already did the work. But yeah, one reel had probably 200 comments of where is this, and it just boggles the mind. But thank you for the engagement.
Always thank you for the engagement.
And then putting the handle at the top, absolutely. So my strategy was essentially becoming a collaborator with the business or brand that I was posting about. If they had a strong Instagram, if they don't have a strong Instagram, it actually operates the opposite direction. But if they have a strong Instagram, making yourself a collaborator, and then after it starts to take off, or you feel like things are headed in the right direction, moving your handle up to the top line or the second line saying, "Follow me for more this type of content specifically." The reason that actually was a happy accident when I had a Goodwill reel go mega viral.
I remember that one.
It was not expected. I was getting a lot of followers from Florida and like weird places. And knowing what I know from Time of Dre, I'm like, if you are not targeted, if you are not in North Carolina, if you are not in Charlotte, I do not need this type of follower because it's going to bomb me later. So I tried to start saying, "Follow me for Charlotte content" at the top so that people wouldn't even, follow me at all, that weren't aligned. That was my goal.
Would you say that the collab feature is really what helped you take off? Are a lot of those businesses, I'm sure they are now, but back then as you were scaling, were they accepting those collaboration requests?
So they were, but that was because humbly, like my content was really good. So I think businesses
Own it. Your content was
won't-
really good.
businesses won't accept the collaboration request if it's not becoming of them, or it looks put to get cobbled together. So because I always was doing my best, they were opt to accept that. And that happened at any level. Even when I was small, people were accepting. Now, the reason that I actually grew a lot initially, I think this helped me get to 1,200 followers, is a big account in Charlotte asked me to essentially be their media correspondent, is what we called the title. It would be like working with a Visit ATX or whatever, like a big kind of Instagram account would be in your local area. They allowed me to take over for 3 months, and I was able to make my account a collaborator on all the content that I made for
Oh,
them.
wow.
So people were clicking on the handle and coming to find me. Now, that was an organic relationship. They reached out to me, and again,
That was
they
going to be
said,
my next question. How the hell did you make that happen?
they said, we love your content. Obviously, you're doing something right. So can we get you to do that something right for us for 3 months? And that's what I did.
That's sick.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many questions. I'm so excited because I feel like I'm the one that always, I'm like, I'm going to pull out little nugs for our money makers. I feel like really what I keep hearing is the fact that you put off these, like you said, professional vibes. You have elevated content, high quality, high volume content. I know how this is possible for you, but I'd love for you to share with the money makers, even from whenever you first started, when you first started and you weren't turning out high, like the numbers, but I'd love to hear like actionable tips on how to turn out high quality, high volume content.
Yeah. The first thing that I try to do is have a mental shot list when I'm going into something. So I will usually get around 17 clips at every place that I go. And that helps me create a better reel when I put things together. I am mostly a video only platform over there. I don't do a lot of photos. I might test it out, but right now I'm mostly video. And so I do about 17 clips, and that gives me a lot to work with. Now I've started to develop, I will call them like signature shots, like a 0.5 view of a restaurant with a drink where you're panning. Now, what that allows me to do is later, when I want to do top 5 favorite drinks, I have all of these shots that are in drink, and I just shuffle them together. I do think that it is realistic and very fair to tell everyone that this takes time. I didn't have a bank of content after 3 months. I barely did after 6 months. Now, after being here for a year, I have fall content from last year, which allows me to do fall content without having to run around like a crazy person now. I had to do it last year. Last year, I was hustling to go to places and find it, but now I've just got it. So between the bank of shots and everything, it comes down to editing as well. I like to think a lot about a triple hook. So a visual hook, a text hook, and an auditory hook to get people to watch the reel. And I study the watch time religiously. My watch time is 7 seconds.
Holy shit. 7 seconds? Okay, so moneymakers, let's go through this for a second. So first of all, check what that is for you. That is really high, right? And that's where we get the data that a certain reel length is optimal. So if your watch time is 3 seconds, you want to make reels that are 3 to 5 seconds. Having a real watch time of 7 seconds is bonkers.
That's long.
Really? I guess I didn't even really realize that.
No, that's long.
That's long.
So I try to edit between 7 to 10 seconds for that reason. And that has helped me monitor things a little bit more. I personally, like, no offense to anyone who does the like cool places to go, read the caption. That type of reel just is not my vibe.
The shit
I
out
want
of
to
me.
put out super helpful content. So I'm storytelling in the video, I'm storytelling in the caption, I'm storytelling throughout. And I think that that's why people enjoy my content. For what it's worth, they're like, she's going to tell us where to go, what to do, why she liked it, and what it was about.
I truly believe in feeling like on the internet, you need to be known for something. What you exactly said is exactly why people are returning time and time again to your page, because they know exactly what they're going to get. You know exactly, I know I'm going to get the address. I know I'm going to get a good recommendation for this or that. And I know I'm going to have the idea, because me personally, I'm looking for what's the vibe, what can I dress like? What are cute drinks that I'm like, ooh, I will go to that place specifically for that cocktail and those wings. So being known for something, oh my gosh, like knowing that I can come to your page and see the same, I'm like, not the same, I'm like, I need to know what the vibe is. And you did that so well.
I totally agree. There is something about an it factor. There is your angle, and I'll even use this as an example. I do not consider myself a food creator in Charlotte, but I am friends with a lot of foodies, just like I was in Austin. And people can take it as a whole. Okay, all these people are going to Austin-based restaurants or Charlotte-based restaurants. They're all giving similar reviews. But we know that with a critical eye, you can tell that people are actually doing very different things with the exact same experience. We have a guy here who just thorough reviews. I'm talking, they're minute-long reels. He will say whatever he's got to say. He's got like a 10-point checklist. People love him. People love him. They're like, he's our food reviewer. He's our food god. And then there's other people who do the 5-second clip show of the experience and give a different perspective. Everyone has a chance to stand out in their niche, but you have to do something. You have to be the first, the best, or the most unique, right? The first, best, or something different. And most people don't focus on either of those three things. So you've got to figure out which one you can tap into and shine. That will help you grow.
And it seems like it can truly come down to editing style.
Absolutely. And posting time and literally luck and a million other little things too.
Always.
But don't underestimate the power of turning up the brightness on your video and turning up the saturation if that's your look, or just shooting at a higher quality on your camera. I switched my microphone and I got better engagement. Truly littlest things can take it from like a B to an A+.
Wow.
That's fascinating. Okay, I want to talk about the journey to money making.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because at first you were not being paid to go to these restaurants.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. Exactly right. Boy, I don't even remember what the first one was that I got paid, but I was getting paid for my collaboration with the bigger account. They were paying me as just a employee, if you will. So I got paid then. But when I started getting paid for myself, I don't feel ethical accepting money from any business that I don't feel like I can get a result for, or that my page wouldn't have sustained driving them any sort of business, right? That's just a me thing. Everyone can make their own choice. So the first time I got paid, I know it was something food related specifically, but I was like, I can knock this out of the park. This reel is going to be good. They're going to be happy. We're all going to be happy. And I'm happy to do that. And since there are less creators in Charlotte in general and less creators with an audience in Charlotte, it's really easy for businesses to say, hey, I'd like to work with you more proactively because there is less people to choose from. In Austin, or New York, you could pick 800 different people to contact if you wanted to. Charlotte, it's just a little bit different of a scenario. And so I'm always grateful. I really have had a lot of fun and built a lot of great relationships with cool activities and businesses and things like that. But it definitely came to me a lot more than it did in Austin.
So what is the climate looking like now for you? Are you doing more reaching out? Are they doing more reaching out? What does that look like?
I'm getting more inbound requests for the local area. If I am choosing to do something a little bit further, like I've been trying to explore North Carolina a little bit more, I am proactively messaging people, but not for pay, just for collaboration, so that I can start getting some more of that content, get on the radar of people in other areas of the state. But in Charlotte, I definitely get quite a bit of inbound requests now. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I do think that that's the beauty of being more mature in my career, on my journey here, is that I am able to say, hey, I'm not the right person for you, or I don't want to work with you in a paid capacity. Let's just do something for fun. It allows me a lot of that freedom and flexibility. I don't have to do anything.
I would love to I need to dive deeper into this. And again, in the same vein of the professionality that I think is what really is, it just puts you over the top of the way that you move through spaces. I've seen it in person. And I would love to first dig deeper and hear more about your journey of like, how do you hold yourself in these spaces? Like, how do you conduct yourself professionally? How do we make this foodie thing an actual business? And then two, I would love to dive deeper into the beginnings. Is it more of just your personality, do you think, or are there active ways that you're like, nope, I'm business Dre, and we're talking business, and that's how I appear more professionally? Like, what is it?
I'm also curious, thinking about this again as a startup, what startup
Mm.
cost looked like for you, considering you weren't getting paid to go to these restaurants?
Yeah. I spend a lot of money to run the account all the time, which a lot of people don't realize in any capacity. Anytime I see a nasty comment on anyone's page, or if it's mine, these influencers think that they're whatever. And I always am like, man, I spend probably around $900 to run the account every month. And some months I don't recoup that. Some months I totally do. But for a long time, I didn't make anything, and I just did it for the love of the game. And I will say that I've had every brand conversation on Time of Dre's side. I've been in all the scenarios. I've seen all the ways that people succeed or fail. I've done it all. I've seen it and done it all. And the biggest thing that I learned from that is that the creators who treat things like it's a business tend to be able to convert it into an income stream. I'm not going to say a full-time thing, but they can convert it into a business. Those that treat it like a hobby and have hobby conversations and create hobby content typically end up having a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with either side. You can choose whichever one you want. But people come to me because they like the content that I create. They like that I'm a professional. I make things simple. I have automated payment systems. I send invites just like boom, 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 boom. Let's get it on the calendar. And it's a really seamless process to work with one another. I will say that I have always maybe had a different brand presence than some people. I'm colorful, I'm quirky, I'm weird. And either you love that or you don't. And so it seems like a lot of people want to tap into that and have someone fun and colorful come in and showcase their business. And right now it's working. But yeah, I spent a lot of money to do this and have probably not broken even, maybe even from what I spent to start it up. But I know that in time, it will all be good either way.
I have a moneymaker question. Is the food a write-off, since it's technically for business?
Yes, it is. Yep. So I have a lot of write-offs. So of course, I did buy a business car last year. So my car.
Oh my gosh, your gas is write-off.
My gas is a write-off. I track all my mileage, of course. My car payment and insurance is a write-off. The food and the tips write-off. And then of course, anything that I do for the blog. So I'll go to an amusement park and film that for the blog. That is a write-off. So yeah, I write off anything that's related to it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That is thinking about this as a business. That is how you get it done.
Yeah. I need the write-offs personally because my entire business has a lot of things under it. And so I need all the write-offs I can get.
Girl, join the club. We are all in that same boat.
Yep.
I
buy business cars for whatever reason. That will help for sure.
Everybody go buy a car. That's what we want you to take away from this conversation.
Done. I would love to jump into more of like what are your plans? Again, the startup, what's the projection? I know we're talking
great question.
in-person events.
I want to hear about this in-person event and how that happened.
Creators. Yeah. I need to hear all of this. What's the plan?
Because you had 100 people show up.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be?
Going back to the original intention of the page, which is to build a community, the people that I interact with on a daily basis on the page, and I wanted to meet more of them in person. So there's a couple of things that I did to build a strong community. I used my channel, my Instagram channel, as an opportunity to invite strangers to events with me. So instead of taking Josh to every +1 event that I have, I take a stranger, and that's my opportunity to give someone a cool experience that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise, and to spread the love. So it started with that. And then I realized people were digging that and they wanted more. And so I decided to host a free party. I paid for the party myself. I got the space donated, but everything else I paid for out of pocket, and just threw it for my community and said, come, show up. I would love to hang out with you for a day and meet you. And it was great. I got to meet so many people and build that relationship. And nobody is doing that type of thing in this community as far as a creator, or maybe even in Austin. I don't really know anyone who does this type of stuff. But I see it as the olive branch. I see it as the longer term projection of, I don't just want people to like my content. I want more than that. And if I want that, I have to do more than that. I can't just be a face on the internet. I have to be a real person. So I do a really good job of humanizing my brand because I am a human and I want people to remember that. And I think that bonds me to people in a different way than some.
Oh, I got chills. Oh, I love that. Just warms my heart. That's when you know someone's in it for the right reasons. When you hear someone talk about their people, I love that you use your channel in that way and that you bring people with you. I've never heard of anybody doing that. That's incredible. What's next? What is next?
You're asking a great question.
That's what we do here.
What I would like to do is I would like to extend my consultancy and my social media management to Charlotte. What I see is a need for businesses to have awesome UGC content and support and not need to hire piecemeal creators to do every little bit of it. We need someone to help them. Now, what that requires of me is cold pitching and kind of like getting into the mud a little bit more than maybe I want to this second. But I know I could help a lot of businesses. I know I have the capacity for it and I have a lot of fun doing it. I think it would be great for both parties. And I would want that to be more of what I do. What I see happening is I'm getting a lot more requests for takeovers and come to our event and be our correspondent, and we want you to like show up on our stories and do things with us. So I can see building more like deeper relationships with businesses as well. And I want the brand to keep growing. I don't want it to keep growing for bigger, better brand deals. That's not the motivation, but I want it to keep going so that I have a chance to explore and show and get out in the world and see the state a little bit more and being able to share that with my audience. That's really what I want. I want to be able to travel more and show that a lot more.
I love all of that. That brings such a big smile to my face. I think a clarifying question that we didn't ask earlier that we probably should have is, in terms of quote unquote big creators in Charlotte, are you now one of the biggest?
Yeah, one of, and if there's 10, I'm on the list of 10.
Hey,
there are a couple people with like over 100K and they do an amazing job to serve it. There are a couple food only guys that have 50 to 90K. But if you slice all the major food, and slice my hair off too. If you slice all of the food people off the top, then I'm somewhere at the top of like the blogs about Charlotte.
Food, I don't want to say foodies have it easy because they don't. It's a lot of work, but like it's so much easier to grow with food content because everybody eats. No matter where you go, you got to eat. And when you travel somewhere, you're going to eat out. I get that. And Charlotte is a place that people travel to a lot. Of course, they're going to be looking for food content.
Yeah. And I know that. I know that if I wanted to just only do food and go straight into that, I could probably grow more and I could probably do this and that. But what people don't tell you about food content is really bad for your mental health. It's really bad to be eating greasy, delicious, huge, over the top meals 7 times a week. I wasn't able to balance it. I personally wasn't able to balance it. Some people can, but I gained 15 pounds doing food content. And I said, you know what? I need to blend. I need other things because this is too much for me. So when I moved to Charlotte, I said, there's one thing I'm not going to do, and that's going to be only food content. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I got to do something else. And I've stuck to that to this point.
Amen. You got to do what works for you.
Yeah.
No, yeah. We've been talking a lot about conversations of like overlap of what do you actually enjoy and what can make you money, and finding that sweet spot in the middle. This is just
You found it. You've done it.
Yeah. My husband asks me all the time, if you could do anything or if the world was your oyster, what would you be doing? And I always say I would love to be making money being myself, which is, I'm sure, the dream for everybody. But when I see someone who's really nailed it on TikTok or they've really nailed it on Instagram or whatever, and their whole business is just to be themselves, I think that's pretty incredible that this day and age, people can make a living off of being who they are. I love that.
if it wasn't this a career path for me at teen, I would have picked it.
I so wish if I had known back then, life would have been so different. And that's where I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha, whatever the fuck they're called, it's a blessing and a curse for them, right? Because they know early on that they can monetize this. Daos Mendoza is a great example over on TikTok. He's a beauty content creator, and everybody thought that he was a fully grown adult. Turns out he was a senior in high school, and he was like literally not going to class every day because he was making so much money off of TikTok. And they like, his like high school hates him, but everybody was like, I'm sorry, you're 18? What? You are in high school? But then you see the ugly side of it with things like Bama Rush, where there are positives to it and there are negatives to it. But you see a lot of these girls who are monetizing big time in college, and it's crazy. And if we had known about this beforehand and known that we could do this, even if it's not content creation, even if it's just like building a social media business, period.
If I would have known that I could have done that, like put videos on TikTok in college.
Chloe got a fucking master's instead. Chloe got a master's degree.
Yeah,
I could have done this in college.
One of my high school classmates is one of the original Instagram influencers. Her name is Christine Andrews. She's a Utah blogger. She has one of those like $10 million mansions. I don't even know. And it's wild seeing her from a classmate in Missoula, Montana. She lent me my prom dress for senior year. And then finding her in around 2012, she had 1.1 million followers. And now I've seen what that has done to her life and her existence. She's on Target commercials and all this stuff. I just wonder what life would have been like if I had done this stuff a lot earlier. It would be really interesting to go back in time and see where it all went. But now I'm so grateful because social media is still a wonderful opportunity for people to get in. But again, I really do think you have to focus on what it is that you can be the best at and really turning that up to 13 on the dial and really focusing in on that.
I listen to the people that we know. This is for me, and this is like a side conversation for me and Emma that everybody can listen to. The people that we know are so fucking awesome.
We are genuinely so blessed to have crossed paths with so many people.
Notes.
Literally notes. I've always wondered like how you truly did it, and I think I understood it to a certain capacity, but this conversation today has truly made me understand what goes into this. And you've always preached thinking of content creation as a business, and you've really led the way. But I think this conversation today sheds a lot of light on how that process really happens. So I don't even want to ask you like, what's your top tip? Because I think that you've given so many nuggets. Actually, let's tie this into what Chloe's about to do. What advice would you give to someone who is doing a big move to somewhere they are not familiar with in both a life, personal mindset capacity, but then also, hey, I might want to do something on social media with this?
Yeah.
Any life pillars, any big flagship moments are great opportunities to accelerate your growth and your relationship with your community, because moving and getting engaged and married are all the most challenging, emotional things that we all go through. And I've seen it a million times where someone gets engaged and then they start leaning into the wedding planning process and getting their audience involved. And by the time that they're married, they're audience is at a fever pitch. Like they have never been more engaged. They've never been more into what's happening in your life. And all of that engagement and all of that interest can really help you with brand deals, collaborations, growth, and the things that maybe you would want to associate with that. So I would try to pitch for your move. I would try to pitch for things in relationship to your wedding and your engagement. But I would encourage you to really lean into the vulnerability, showing the highs and lows, asking for opinions when you want to invite them in. People love giving opinions. And the more you ask
don't
them,
they?
you know, so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if by the time you're married, you have thousands more followers and your story views have tripled and you are like, wow, I've never felt closer to my
Yeah, we
community.
got to get going with the wedding content, both of
We're
us.
speaking this out. We're manifesting on this podcast, and every time a moneymaker listens to this podcast, it further manifests my future life. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast, because we're manifesting this for me.
And let's
And
end it with, we just talked about the social media side of it, the monetization part of it. What would you say your best advice is to someone who is just navigating a big move, whether that be a physical move from place to place or a big life shift?
You need some anchors in order to get through anything in life. So whether that is sticking with your gym routine, or if it's journaling or something that is like a common thread between the chaos, you need a few things that just hold it down. But also not underestimating the power of, or the importance of, investing in things that'll make it a lot easier. Like I'm a cheapskate. Admittedly, in a lot of ways, I'm a cheapskate.
Me too.
I'll try to do things myself. I will try to find ways to figure it out on my own, but hiring movers and hiring an assistant to support my business when I was traveling and moving, and all of those investments really do help you keep your sanity. And you cannot ever underestimate the importance of your mindset, your mental health, the way that you feel about your life, because if you burn out, everything else gets compromised along with that. So you have to support yourself in a lot of different ways, and you'll come out the other side being like, okay, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't as bad as it could have been, instead of trying to do everything on your own.
I love how Chloe and I both go,
Both of you went through moves
Yeah.
recently. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that's true. I forget about mine because mine like didn't feel that far, but also it's a whole different life. And now we're dealing with a murderer on the loose. Stay tuned if they catch him. But that's a fun time.
Austin still has a serial
come back
killer,
next
so.
episode for
Come back next episode to find out if they've caught the Chester County murderer.
Come back next episode to see if Emma was a victim. Dun, dun, dun.
Chloe, don't even speak that into the universe. Get out of here. All right, Chloe, why don't you wrap this up for us and take us home? You hot mess.
Oh my God. Thank you, Moneymakers. I'm currently, like, while we're recording this, taking over in the stories, and people are being so nice to me. So thank you so much to the community. Thank you to the Right Hand Glam community. Thank you to the Yes I Make Money community. Just, oh my God, I could cry. I can't, because there's no more tears, because we have a weekly crush again on Wednesday. We are going live on Instagram. Catch us back here on Monday for another episode. I want to give Dre a minute to roll out the red carpet and tell us where to follow her. And just, Dre, tell the people where they can find you.
The best place to find me right now is at Time of Dre on Instagram. You can click the link in my bio or visit my website, timeofdre.com. If you're looking for social media coaching or help with making money online with your personal brand, you know where to find me. I'm always in those DMs.
Hell yeah. And only follow her if you are in North Carolina on Daily Dre CLT, or she will do some trash duty and remove you. She hasn't removed me, which I'm very grateful for. But I like it. I enjoy it. And one day I'll go to Charlotte and I'll be like, Luke, this is our itinerary, because Dre already made it for us.
Yes. So follow Dre's accounts, follow Yes I Make Money, subscribe, whatever you're doing right now, leave a review, do all of that, because I'm engaged. So do something nice for me. Thank you. Bye. Until then, bye, Moneymaker.
Catch you next week.
Bye.